What's up, guys? We're back again today with another great video, and in today's video we're actually going to be putting a new radio in the Corolla, which is actually going to be really good because the Corolla actually doesn't have Apple CarPlay or anything like that. So the only way I can listen to my music is through Bluetooth, and I actually have to use a phone mount so that way I can use my GPS and things like that. So getting this new radio in there will actually help us out a lot. Our good friends over at Dasaita, they actually sponsored this video for us, and as you guys can see, here is the radio from them. I'll actually show you guys. There is the part number, so that way you guys know exactly which one we're installing. This is a great product. It's actually a full touch screen, and it'll replace the factory head unit, and it'll allow us to use Apple CarPlay, and also for the Android people, you can use Android Auto as well with it. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into the Corolla, and we'll start taking out the old factory radio, and we'll go ahead and get this new Dasaita radio in. Alright, so we're in the car now, and as you guys can see, here is what the factory radio looks like, and you can actually see the screen goes all the way to this gap out here, but the actual screen part that you see is a lot smaller. And I believe this Dasaita actually takes up the whole piece, so the screen is actually going to be a little bit bigger. It'll all be touch screen, and I think we have a couple options on the side that we can click that are not actually on the screen. And then what's really cool about it is then my maps and everything will be up here, so I'm not having to use this mount anymore that holds my phone. I'll actually have my maps and everything right here in front of me, so I'm not having to look at my phone as well. So it'll just make it a lot easier, and we'll have full Apple CarPlay in here instead of just, right now I just have the Bluetooth. That's how I listen to my music and everything. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into taking all the trim off. Now for this, we're actually going to have to take off, obviously, this whole trim piece. This piece will come out, the trimmer and your gear shifter will come out, and also your cup holders will come out. All this will be out, and then it'll allow us to see the wiring, and it'll allow us to get to the bolts or the screws that are actually holding this radio in. All right, so what we can do is we can actually just grab right here and pull out, and it'll actually pop this trim piece off. And then we can go down right here, and you can just take a trim tool or a flathead screwdriver. Just make sure that you're not going to hurt your trim. You can wrap the flathead screwdriver in like a rag or something so you're not scratching anything. And we're just going to go in right here and pop this out. Just like so. So once you've got that out, now we can go ahead and start popping this piece out, and then your cup holder piece out. You can actually, sometimes you can just grab right here and pull out, or you can grab on the sides and kind of pull. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trim tool, and there's a gap down here that you can put it in. You can kind of pry it up, and it'll pop it loose, and then do the same thing on the driver's side. And then you can just grab right in here, and you can pull them apart because they're two separate pieces right here. And once you get that apart, what we're going to do is there's actually two connectors behind your traction control off and your sport mode. So just make sure that you lift it up and pop those off. There's one, and here is the other one. And I'll show you guys what it looks like a little closer in a second. That way you guys can know how to take them off. All right, so once you do that, then you can actually take this trim right here that actually holds your gear shifter in, and you can push this in. And make sure you guys can see this here. You can actually push that in, and that'll allow the leather piece to stay on your, not your gear shifter, but your emergency brake. And once you get that off, then you can get this completely loose. I got to get this other connector off right here. Just push in the trigger, and it should slide right out, just like that. So now we've got our cup holder out, and I'll show you guys right here. You can see, I'll grab and show you guys right here. You can see there's actually a push trigger right here, and that's what you'll do. You'll push that in and slide it out. And then the same thing for the white one. You'll push that in and slide it out. And then right here, you can kind of see where these clips are, right there and right there. And what you do is this emergency brake boot, just push it down, and it'll actually leave it around the emergency brake. So we've got that down right there, and then you'll have to pull your emergency brake up to be able to get it off, which I had already done before we started. So we've got that one off. So now we're going to work our way up. Once we get right here, this 12 volt will have a plug behind it, and then your USB and your aux cable, it will have a plug behind it too that we should have to disconnect. So we're going to work our way up this way now. So right here, you should just be able to grab right here at the bottom and pull out, just like that. And now what we'll have to do is we'll actually have to take the key to the car, and we'll have to put it in. That way we can put this back into neutral, and obviously you got your emergency brake up, but once you put that back into neutral, it'll allow you to slide this plastic piece off. So we're going to do that now. So go back into neutral. It'll give you enough space to get it off, just like that. We'll sit that down here in the floor. We'll put it back into park and turn the car back off. Also, there's this little clip right here, and this is actually just some cable management. You can see it's a plastic clip, and that is clipped in. So you'll just grab and pull that up, and then that'll release these cables from this top trim piece. All right, so now that we have all this off, I actually thought that the 12 volt and this came out with that piece, but it looks like we're not even going to have to take it out at all, which is really good. Now we're going to go ahead and grab, as you guys can see right here, it feels like it's locked in over here, like there might be a screw or something, but all it is it's this silver trim. You're going to take your finger and pop it out underneath the bottom right here, and that'll unlock it, and then you can pull out the rest of the way just like this. And as you guys can see, now we can pop it out all the way up, and there's going to be one connector on this side, which is your airbag on and off, and that's how it gets power. And then obviously your alarm system right here that's flashing, and then your hazard button. There'll be a connector on the back of both of those. So you're going to want to pull this out a little bit to where you can see, and grab those connectors and pull them out. As you guys can see right there, now we've got this completely out, and now we can access the bolts to go ahead and pull the radio out itself. I'll actually show you guys these clips a little bit closer. So as you guys can see, this is going to be the same as the ones on the bottom. We've got the trigger right here on the top that you push in and slide out, and then this one's going to be the same way. There's a trigger right there that you push in, and that'll allow you to slide it out. So now you can see the bolts right here. That is going to allow us to take the radio out of the car. All right, so I've got my 10mm here and an extension to make it a little easier. And like I said before, we've got one here, one there, one over here, and one there. We'll jump into a time lapse and take these out. All right, so now we've got the radio unbolted, so let's go ahead and pull it out. Slide it out. Just like that. Now I'll show you guys what all the connectors look like in the back right here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 connectors, and as you guys can see, all the triggers are on the top. So your triggers here, there, 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 and there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop all these out. Alright, so now that we've got all of our factory stuff pulled out and we are ready to go ahead and install the new radio that we got, let's jump out and I'll actually unbox it for you guys so you know everything that comes with the radio, the Dasaita radio, so that way you guys will know if you need anything else before you start the project. Let's go ahead and we'll pop it open right here. And as you guys can see, we've got all of our cables that we're going to need right here to install it in the car. And then there's actually some pry tools here. As you guys noticed, I actually used my own pry tool in there, but what's good is they actually give you pry tools so you don't have to have your own to do this install, which is super nice. So, and then we've got our radio right here, which is normally wrapped in this plastic, like I said. And then you've got your manuals and everything back here to be able to do the install. So, as you guys can see, it's a very nice package. You don't have to worry about it getting damaged when it's being shipped or anything like that. Let's go ahead and we'll go over all the cables and everything that comes with it, so that way you guys know exactly what comes with the radio. All right, so we've got everything laid out here. Now, you guys may not use all of this. You guys may use half of it. It's kind of just depending on what you guys want to do. But there is a couple things that you're going to have to use for sure. So like I said, they give you these nice printouts that actually makes it super easy to do the install. So as you guys can see, here is the other models of the Toyotas that this radio specifically will go in. So if one of those is your models, it'll work for that car as well. And this will be exactly what your stuff looks like. So let's go ahead and we'll go over each item really quick, and then I'll lay them up top once we go over them. So we've got this item right here. It clips into the back of the radio, and it'll give you an extra SIM card for memory, or I believe that you can put, like, download music to a SIM card and put it in there as well and use it like that. It comes with an external microphone, which will be good because the microphone that comes with the Corolla is terrible, or maybe it just don't work great with the factory radio, but people can never hear me on the phone. So this is an item that I will definitely be using. We have a antenna here, and I'll actually check and make sure what this antenna specifically goes to. Let's check. So number 20. So the antenna is actually a Wi-Fi antenna. Then this cable right here on ours, we'll have to use it to connect. We'll actually use these two together, which is going to be interesting. So this connector right here on a Corolla is what goes to your factory. It's actually your aux cable and the USB cable. This is what the connector looks like. So we'll actually be plugging this into our factory harness. It'll come out to a USB. As you guys can see right here, this will plug into this USB, and then this connector is actually what plugs into the back of this radio to allow that aux cable and that USB cable to still work. So that is what these connectors will be meant for in our install. This connector right here allows you to hook up, I believe, your reverse camera is what it'll go to for us. And then right here, we actually have, this is the GPS antenna that comes with this radio. And then this right here is actually two more USB connectors. So this plugs into the back of the radio, and it'll give you two more USB chargers. I will actually probably hook these up and just put them underneath because I'm not exactly sure where I want to run them yet. I do have a couple blank spaces in the Corolla that I can actually run these to and have two more chargers up front, which will be really nice. So this is actually your 4G antenna right here that plugs into the back of the radio. And then it actually comes with two of these factory harnesses. So depending on which car you have is which one of these you will actually be using, from what I understand so far, because we hadn't done the install yet. And this one is actually the one that goes to the Corolla right here. So as you guys can see, these are all of our factory connectors. So yes, this radio is a plug and play radio. You don't have to buy any connectors. There's no soldering, there's no butt connecting, there's no nothing. It's literally plug and play, super easy install. Will be the easiest radio you ever install. And this cable right here, I'm not 100% sure if this is what connects to the back of the radio that you hook this factory harness in to make your reverse camera work, or if it's this one that you hook in to make the reverse camera work. But we'll figure that out once we do the install. And also, I will show you guys the back of the radio here. And as you guys can see, here is all your connectors. This is where the factory harness will plug in at. And here is actually an HDMI. So this is what the back of the radio looks like. We actually have a fuse right here. And then on the front you have another SD card that you can put in right there. And this is what the front of the radio looks like. It's going to be all touchscreen, and then you've got some key buttons right here, your volume up, down, back button, home button, and then your on and off button. So before we get inside the car, this is actually the factory radio right here, and as you guys can see, this is the mounting bracket. This bracket will actually transfer over to the new radio. So for these bolts right here, you can also use a Phillips head screwdriver, but it's a 5/16 on the 2017 Corolla. So what we're going to go ahead and do for the Corolla here is we're going to start with the main harness. So it's going to be the big harness. The easiest way to tell which one this one is it actually has this red box on it. That's the easiest way between this one and the other one. This one has all the factory connectors that we're going to need to hook everything up properly. So just look for this box right here and you'll have the right one. If you have a Tacoma or something else like that, I would just try to grab this harness and just hook in all your, we'll actually go ahead and do it here, but just go ahead and hook in all your factory harnesses and make sure that you have everything plugged in properly. And then once you do that, if you have to use the other one, you'll know, because this one won't have all the harnesses that you'll need for the other one if that's the one you're going to have to use. So just make sure you plug it in and make sure you hear the clicks of each of these pigtails, so that way you know it's locked in there, because when you're driving around it can slide out if you don't make sure they clip in. All right, so we've got this harness all hooked up. As you guys could see, everything is plugged in here. So the only harness that we're missing out on right now is this one. So what you're going to want to do is, and we do not have this one hooked up in the harness that they sent. I don't know if we're using this one or not, but we'll see right here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and find the connector to this one first. Is like I told y'all when I was unboxing that, this is what it looks like. It's a square box on one end and it's got a USB on the other. So you're going to push that in right here, and you're going to have to push it in pretty hard till you hear that clip, just like you heard. And then we've got a USB on this side. So now what we're going to want to do is grab this one right here, and as you can see, this one has a USB connector right here, and then on this side, this is the connector that's going to allow it to go into the new aftermarket radio. Now let's go ahead and we will take this black harness, we'll flip over the radio right here, the Dasaita radio, and we will go ahead and plug it in. And again, make sure you plug it in until you hear the click, so that way you can make sure the harness is in there all the way. Just like that. Give it a little tug to make sure it's plugged in good. So we've got it there. So now you're going to want to go ahead and take this other one that we had to do right here. Let me pull it out. So now all your factory connectors are hooked into the radio, just like that. Super easy and simple. So now we're going to take this one, and as you guys can see, you'll just find the one that it correlates to over here, and you'll plug it in and make sure it snaps in properly. So now this is the wire that allows us to use our USB right here and our aux cable right here. So that's what that allows. With this aftermarket radio, it allows your factory aux cord and your USB to still work. So that's super nice. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in some of our other stuff right here. The other thing that's going to be on this is your antenna. So you'll go ahead and plug it in over here, just like that. So let's go ahead and we'll plug this in now. And I'll try to show you guys where we're going with this. It should be, let's see here, right there. So as you guys can see, it's right across from this one. So you're going to plug that in, and then you're going to pop these off. These are just to protect it. And then you're going to plug these in right here. So as you guys can see, they all have corresponding labels right here. You can see aux left in. You can see aux left in right there. And let's see where our yellow one is. It's right here. As you guys can see, it says to camera in, and this one says camera. So let's go ahead and we'll plug all those in. All right, so now that we've got our camera hooked in here, or which should be the camera hooked in here, we'll test it right here in a minute. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in some of the other stuff. So as you guys know, I am actually going to use, like I told you earlier, I'm going to use the aftermarket microphone, because this microphone is actually right up here, and nobody can really hear me well, and I don't know if that's from the factory radio not being good or if it's from the microphone itself not being good. So I'm actually going to use this microphone, and it will plug in, let's see here, it will plug in right right beside of where your camera is. So the other things that you've got is you've got these two extra USBs, which I'm actually going to go ahead and plug them in. I'll show you guys where they go. They'll actually go right here. So you'll have two USBs, and you can use these to charge or link to your phone or anything like that to this radio. And I'm actually going to use these two dead spaces here because I don't have the heated seats, and I'm going to buy a factory plug right here that can pop in, and I can hook those two USBs to eventually. So, but for this install, this is kind of what you'll do there, and I'll do an update video later where I run them down and hook them into the plug that's a factory plug, or you know, an aftermarket plug that'll fit into this square. I'll do a video on that later. The antenna for the GPS right here, and it will plug in right here. As you guys can see, it'll go right there just like that. And then you'll also have your antenna right here. This actually goes to the Wi-Fi right here, and you can screw it in just like this. It'll screw in right there. Just make sure everything is good and tight. I'm going to leave it loose for now so I can show you guys. And then this is going to be your 4G antenna, and it'll go right here. So I am going to go ahead and hook these up, but I'm going to leave them inside the dash right here just because I don't want to stick them up top on, you know, the top of my dash. I don't really know how much I'm going to be using this anyway. And with the little bit that I am going to use it, it should work good within the dash. If it's not getting a good signal, I can always, you know, just pop this trim back out and move them, you know, farther up the dash, or put them on top of the dash, or whatever I need to do to make sure they're working. All right, so I went ahead and pre-ran the USBs right here. As you guys can see, this is normally where the heated seats would be, but my car does not have the heated seats. So you can actually reach down right here, and you can pop out this blank switch right here, and you can just feed those through. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to buy, see how this aux spot is actually in one of those squares? You can actually go online and you can buy these to where it's just two USBs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy one of those, pop it in right here, and then hook these into the back of it so it still looks factory and looks nice, and you don't have these wires dangling out. So now I'm going to show you guys what I did for the microphone. So I've got the microphone right here, and you can actually pop this side panel off right here. So you just grab it and kind of pull back on the bottom, and it'll pop out. And you can see we have full access underneath right here. And what I did was I just fed it down right here. With all that done, we're actually ready to go ahead and install the radio in. Like I said, remember, you're going to want to go ahead and put your ground wire either here or here, and you guys can take some, that actually comes with some zip ties that you can kind of bundle these up and zip them together to make sure they're not bouncing around in the car while you're driving. I am going to go ahead and do that off the screen. All right, so as you guys can see, we've got our ground wire right there. And let's go ahead and let's test the radio, make sure it's going to turn on and function like it's supposed to. Alright, so we've got all this right here. I don't have my phone connected to it yet, so I'll show you guys how to do all that in a minute, but this is just for testing purposes. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go into reverse and see if it's going to work here. And as you guys can see, we're still getting an error right here. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to pull it back out, and maybe I need to hook in the other yellow wire instead of the one that I did, because there is two yellow connectors. So I'm going to do that. Alright guys, so I figured out the issue. I actually reached out to Dasaita, and I sent them some pictures, and they actually helped me out. So really great customer service. So that's one good thing about this product, is they will help you if you do have an issue. So what we ended up doing is, as you guys can see, this original blue harness right here that we used, if I can get it out. So this original blue harness right here has your aux right in and your aux left in. So we had that hooked up, and then the yellow line coming out, it says front camera. Well, I don't have a front camera, so I just assumed that I could hook it into the camera and that it would show the reverse camera since I didn't have a front camera, but that is not the case. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this one hooked in and have your aux left in and aux right in right here. So that one will be hooked in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this harness right here, which has the red, white, white, green, red, and yellow. And what you'll notice is there's two yellow. This is one of them right here. So you'll see that this says cam in right here on the tag, and you're going to plug that into the cam in on this side. Now on this side you do have two cam ins, but as you can see we're using this factory harness, and one of the factory harnesses, it's actually tucked under right here. See, we're not using this factory harness, and it also has a cam in. So whichever factory harness you're using, that's the cam in that you'll use to connect to those set of wires. And now that we've got that all set up, let me grab it right here and I'll show you guys. So we've got the car on, we'll go into reverse, and as you guys can see, the reverse camera is working now. So now we can go ahead and tuck all of our wires back in and go ahead and put our bolts back in and our trim on. And then this part of the install will be done, and then we'll just have to put our microphone up here. One thing I'm going to show you guys that I'm going to do different this time is I'm actually going to put my ground wire right here, because it's really hard to kind of feed it through right here and put your bolt in. So this is another place you can put your ground wire, because it's on this bracket which is attached right here. Alright, so we've got the radio put back in. As you guys can see, we've got all 4 bolts in here and here, and we've got our harness out for the airbag monitor there and the hazards here. Just make sure that you don't get those tucked back behind the radio. And the radio is functioning like it should. I'll show you guys. We go in reverse and you can see the camera. Got that problem fixed. And then you guys can go through some of the options here. Your Apple CarPlay option will be right there, or if you have an Android, it'll be right there. I'll show you that in 1 second. But one thing that's really cool is you actually, if you're in a place that has Wi-Fi, you can connect this to the Wi-Fi, or you can use your hotspot on your phone, and you can actually go to, like, let's say we're going to go to YouTube. As you guys can see right here, I've already got my channel pulled up, and you can actually just click on a video and it'll play it just like it would if you're watching it on your phone or on a tablet, which is really nice. And it allows you guys to be able to watch videos and stuff in your car if you're on a long road trip or something like that. You can watch Netflix or anything. As you guys can see right here, I'll go back. You know, you've got Netflix, Facebook, Hulu, Spotify, Instagram. You've got some of those apps already preloaded in there. You can actually go to the Play Store right here and get some other apps if you guys would want those. I'll show you right now. So you can just connect Bluetooth if you wanted to and listen to music like that. Your radio's right here. So now let's go ahead and let's connect to the Apple CarPlay. So let's click right here. And as you guys can see up top, you'll see the pin, and it's 0000. So now we'll go to my phone right here, and we'll want our Bluetooth on, and let's see here. It should pop up right here in a second. So as you guys can see, it's loading up here now. And the first time you connect it, it'll actually ask you for that pin that I showed you up here, and you'll just put that pin in 0000 or whatever your guys' pin is, and then it should work, and it'll pop it up. And as you guys can see now, the radio is just like an Apple CarPlay. So you can go to your phone here, your Spotify right here, and your maps, which is really nice to have up, because now, like I showed you guys before, I won't have to mount my phone over here to be able to see my maps. My maps will be right there. So let's go ahead and we'll put the rest of the trim on. If you guys have any questions about the features or anything of this radio, you can comment down below, and again, I can make a video later showing you guys some other stuff, or I can just comment back and answer any questions. All right, so now we have everything put back together, and as you guys can see, look at this perfect fitment right here. It actually looks like a factory radio sitting in here, so super nice. Great product by them with this fitment right here. I mean, that is killer. In my TC up front right here, we never could get the radio to sit in there just right, which that was a Pioneer radio. But this one literally looks like it is a factory radio sitting here, so super nice. Everything went back together good with the trim. Just make sure you put this on last. I put this on before this piece and I had to pop it back off, so this will be your last piece that goes on. And as you guys can see, I've got my extra USBs fed out right here. I'll actually pop up an example right now of what I'm gonna buy to plug these into, and then it'll pop in and it'll look factory down here. I just hadn't had a chance to order it yet, but once I do that, it'll kind of have a factory look down here and these wires won't be hanging out. All right, so we've got our mic set up right here. One thing that is really nice is you guys can pop this panel off down here just by grabbing it, pulling out, and once it pulls out, you'll slide it towards you. And you guys can see, I've actually got it tucked up so well, but I fed the wire down here when I showed you guys in that last clip, and I just ran it up, grabbed it right here with my hand, took it around the side and put it up here on top of the steering column. As you guys can see, just make sure you leave slack, because obviously when you adjust your steering wheel, you want to be able to move it up and down where it's not going to pull the wire out of the microphone. So that's kind of how I ran mine. You guys can do it differently, or you can run it up here. That's what I did on my TC. One last thing I do want to show you guys about this radio that's really cool. As you guys can see right here, you can still use your steering wheel controls, which is super nice. On the TC, I actually had to buy like a whole separate module to make my steering wheel controls work. And this one, where it's all plug and play, they just automatically work, which is super nice. Makes it really easy. And as you guys can see right here, how good the product looks inside the car. So anyway, guys, again, I know this was a longer video. If you want to pick up one of these radios for yourself, they do make them for a lot of other cars as well. A super easy plug and play radio. I'll actually leave the links down below to this radio specifically, and also to Dasaita's website in case your car is a different car and it's not a Corolla. They do make them for other cars as well, and they also make some other great products. So you can go down in the description, click the links, and go there and pick one up for yourself. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out, and remember, build your masterpiece.
Hey, I got something to say. I'm just so sick of hearing everyone complain. I know it's tough and I know there's pain, but hitting bottom